You're the only thing that's changed in the last 9 months, so you must be the problem. Well, I'm calling bullshit this week on Hard Facts. Hi, I'm Samantha Cunningham-Zabolinsky, and if you're a marketing agency or have a marketing agency, this conversation may sound slightly familiar. So this week on Hard Facts, I'm calling bullshit and taking you behind the scenes. So no matter who you are in this conversation, whether the advertising agency or the client, it can be an uncomfortable conversation, but one you have to have for the betterment of both of your businesses and your relationship. But the idea that the only thing that has changed is the hiring of that marketing agency or the working for that client is complete bullshit. And that is because it is a singular thought and approach to looking at how things have changed in the last 9 months. So let's say everything is looking great, hunky-dory, the leads are up, sales are up, or maybe that's the problem. Leads are up, engagement is up. All of these statistics are showing positive attribution, but then on the client end, things are going south. They're not selling more, they're not doing better, they're not closing more opportunities. Well, let's forget about that. Let's just say everything is up, that attribution at the end isn't equaling sales. The reason it is bullshit is because so much has changed. In 2 words, consumer behavior. So we so often think, hey, nothing has changed in my spreadsheet. My budget looks exactly the same. Everything I am doing is what I was doing then. My team is exactly the same. They're not doing anything different than they were then. But the difference is as technology changes, consumer behavior changes. As consumer behavior changes, so does our operational practices, our marketing practices and tactics. So when we say nothing has changed, that is the actual problem. It's a problem because here's the thing, and think back a couple years ago where we were really seeing a big shift from desktop traffic to mobile traffic, and then how that impacted your website time on site, the page views, the type of lead that you received. So in many instances, many businesses went from this huge number of website lead forms to a lower number of website lead forms and an increase over time of phone calls. So if we're thinking about nothing changed, well, there's number 1, consumer behavior changed because they moved to that mobile device. But number 2 is the lead type change. So although our lead count may have stayed the same or went up, we changed the type of lead. Now it's phone calls. So now that we have more phone calls, have we changed our process internally? Now that's another thing. So if we're staying exactly the same and we're not placing an increased emphasis on that phone call, on that handling of that lead, do we see a decrease in sales because we're no longer valuing or handling that call appropriately to capitalize on that conversion? So now, for example, we got more phone calls, we got better leads, because I'd rather a phone call because we can talk and have a conversation versus hoping you respond to my email. And then I haven't really worked with my team to make sure that we're capitalizing on this transition of consumer behavior. So it is not a singular approach when you're looking at the changes that took place. Just because your spreadsheets are staying the same does not mean that consumers are. So that's this week on Hard Facts. Take yourself out of the spreadsheet and think about how has my traffic changed? How has my process not evolved or evolved? Sometimes maybe it's one of those evolutions you made that you should backpedal a little bit on. It is not always forward momentum. So think about that. There are so many things that could be attributing or be a lack of attribution for that success. But make sure your focus isn't singular, because if it is, you're missing a piece of the puzzle.